Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. This time, I think we should look into the SpaceX Crew-10 mission,
Yeah.
especially with Sony Williams and Butch Wilmore coming home after
Right.
spending so much longer on the ISS than they were supposed to.
Definitely. That's a really interesting story.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So, for this deep dive, we'll be pulling from some great source material,
Okay.
like excerpts from SpaceX Crew-10 mission launches successfully after scrubbed attempt.
Oh, right.
Okay, so first, I think we need to talk about that launch.
Yeah.
Crew-10 launched Friday evening,
Right.
reaching a speed of 17,500 miles per hour.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, and, of course, it was their second attempt.
Oh, that's right.
They had to scrub that first attempt
Yeah, I remember.
earlier in the week because of a technical issue with the Falcon 9 rocket.
Right. Always a little bit nerve-wracking, even for
Yeah.
seasoned space travelers.
For sure. But luckily, they docked successfully on Saturday,
Okay, good.
and the hatch opened just a few hours later. So this crew is really interesting because it represents such a global effort.
Oh, how so?
So we have Anne McClain and Nicole Ayers from NASA,
Oh.
Takuya Onishi
Wow.
from JXA, that's the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency,
I see.
and Kirill Peskov representing Roscosmos, the Russian space agency.
That's really cool to see that level of international collaboration
Yeah.
in space exploration.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Especially when we're thinking about these more ambitious missions beyond low Earth orbit, right?
Exactly.
It's all about pooling resources and expertise and different ways of thinking to achieve something that would be incredibly difficult for any one country to do alone.
Right, I completely agree. So let's move on to the astronauts whose return has been making headlines.
Yes.
Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore. Their journey home is really a story in itself.
Yeah, how so?
It highlights just how unpredictable space travel can be. They were initially sent up for a week-long mission,
Right.
but they ended up spending 9 months on the ISS.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, 9 months. So the delay, it was due to some concerns with the Boeing Starliner spacecraft,
Oh, right, the Starliner.
which they were supposed to return on.
It's a new commercial spacecraft, isn't it?
It is.
Designed to ferry astronauts to and from the ISS. But, unfortunately, it's experienced some technical setbacks.
Yeah, it's had some issues.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a minor glitch either.
No, it sounds pretty serious.
There were several issues, particularly with the Starliner's parachute system,
Oh, wow.
which is, obviously critical for a safe return.
Absolutely, yeah.
So NASA decided to bring the Starliner back to Earth without a crew
I see.
so they could do further investigations.
Makes sense. Safety first.
Yeah.
Better to be absolutely sure that the spacecraft is,
Right.
100% reliable before putting astronauts on board.
Definitely.
Must have been a little disappointing for Suni and Butch, though.
I'm sure it was.
But, at least there were other spacecraft,
Right.
like the Soyuz and the Crew Dragon Freedom, available in case of emergency. So they weren't ever really stranded.
No, thankfully not. And you know what? Suni Williams, she actually turned this extended stay
Yeah.
into a pretty remarkable achievement.
Really? How?
She broke the record for the longest cumulative time spent spacewalking by a woman.
Wow. That's amazing.
62 hours and 6 minutes.
That's longer than some people spend awake in an entire week.
I know, right.
That's really a testament to her skill and endurance. And I think it also speaks to the increasing presence of women in the forefront of space exploration.
Absolutely.
It's not just about breaking records either, right?
Right.
These spacewalks are crucial for maintaining and upgrading the ISS.
Yeah.
And they provide valuable experience for future missions.
Right.
Where astronauts might need to perform complex tasks in deep space.
For sure. So now, Crew-10 is on the ISS,
Yeah.
and there will be a handover period.
Right, where they'll work alongside Crew-9 to get up to speed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a well-choreographed transition to make sure that everything continues to run smoothly
It's amazing
on the station.
how they managed to coordinate all of that, the logistics and the teamwork
That's really impressive.
of having these overlapping crews on the ISS.
Yeah.
It just ensures that, the scientific experiments and the station maintenance
Right.
continue without any interruptions, which is so important.
Absolutely.
Especially when you think about, how complex and expensive this endeavor is.
Yeah.
We really want to maximize that return on investment.
Okay, so speaking of those scientific experiments,
Yes,
Crew-10 has a lot on their plate.
I bet they do.
They're scheduled to conduct over 200 experiments while they're up there.
Wow, that's a lot of science.
I know, over 200.
Oh,
So can you give us a little taste of what kind of research they'll be doing?
absolutely. So the research on the ISS is incredibly diverse.
Okay.
It covers fields like biology, physics, materials science,
No.
and even technology development.
It really is like a giant floating laboratory.
It is.
Yeah.
So, for instance, one experiment will investigate how microgravity affects the growth of plants,
Oh, that's interesting.
which could be really crucial for, future long-duration space missions where astronauts might need to grow their own food.
Right.
And then another experiment will test new materials for radiation shielding,
Oh.
which is, essential for protecting astronauts on missions beyond Earth's protective magnetic field.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. So each of these experiments is like a piece of a puzzle, right?
Yeah.
It helps us understand how to live and work in space.
Right.
And a lot of times these experiments have applications back here on Earth, too.
Oh, that's awesome. It's just so cool to think about all the potential breakthroughs that Crew-10 might be a part of.
It's not just about the science itself either.
Right.
It's about, fostering international cooperation, inspiring the next generation of scientists and engineers, and pushing the limits of what humanity can achieve.
I love that.
It's a reminder that even with all the challenges we have here on Earth, we can still come together to achieve extraordinary things.
Well said. Well said. So, we are eagerly awaiting Suni and Butch's safe return, and so excited to follow Crew-10's journey of discovery on the ISS.
Definitely.
It really does make you think. What personal qualities and skills do you believe are the most important for astronauts to possess, considering that extreme environment and the constant need for adaptability?
Yeah.
It's something to think about as we continue to explore the cosmos.